What if everything you thought you knew about freedom, success, safety, and daily life was completely flipped the moment you landed in a new country? In 2026, I made a decision that changed how I see the world. I left the United States and moved to Singapore, expecting efficiency, wealth, and modern living. What I did not expect were the deep, emotional, and sometimes uncomfortable shocks that came with it. These were not just cultural surprises. They were moments that forced me to question my habits, my assumptions, and even my definition of a good life. Welcome back to infoSphere, where we go beyond headlines and dig into real human experiences. Today, I am sharing the most powerful shocks I experienced as an American living in Singapore in 2026. This is not about praise or criticism. This is about reality, contrast, and transformation. The shock of order over personal freedom. Coming from the United States, freedom is not just a value, it is an identity. Freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom to challenge authority openly. In Singapore, the first shock was realizing that order comes before personal freedom, and society fully accepts this trade-off. At first, it felt uncomfortable, even restrictive. There are clear rules about public behavior, speech, protests, and even online expression. People do not casually break rules, not because they are afraid, but because they believe rules protect everyone. What shocked me most was how smoothly life functioned because of this mindset. Public transport runs with near-perfect timing. Streets are clean without constant policing. Queues are respected naturally. As an American, I was used to chaos being tolerated as a sign of freedom. In Singapore, chaos is seen as a failure of responsibility. Over time, I began to understand that freedom here is not about doing whatever you want, but about living in a system where everyone feels safe and respected. This shift challenged my beliefs deeply. I realized that in the United States, freedom often comes with stress, unpredictability, and conflict. In Singapore, structure creates calm. That realization was one of the biggest mental adjustments I had to make, and it changed how I define a successful society. The shock of extreme safety and trust. Nothing prepared me for how safe Singapore feels, even late at night. As an American, safety awareness is second nature. You lock your doors, watch your surroundings, and stay alert. In Singapore, people leave laptops unattended in cafes. Children commute alone. Women walk home at night without fear. This level of trust in society was shocking in the most positive way. At first, my instincts kept me on edge. I double-checked my bag. I avoided quiet streets. Slowly, I realized I was the only one behaving that way. Crime exists everywhere, but in Singapore, it is rare enough that fear does not control daily life. This absence of constant anxiety was emotionally overwhelming. I did not realize how much mental energy fear consumed in my life back home. Safety here is not just about strict laws. It is about social responsibility, economic stability, and strong institutions. People trust the system, and the system rewards that trust. Living without constant fear changed my confidence, my sleep, and even how I interact with strangers. It was a shock that felt like healing. The shock of work culture and meritocracy. Singapore's work culture shocked me in ways I did not expect. It is intense, competitive, and deeply performance-driven. People work long hours, but there is a strong belief that effort leads to results. Titles, age, and background matter less than competence. As an American, I was used to networking, self-promotion, and personal branding playing a major role in career growth. In Singapore, results speak louder than personality. This was both refreshing and intimidating. There is little tolerance for inefficiency. Meetings are short. Deadlines are serious. Excuses are not romanticized. At the same time, there is respect for expertise. When you prove your value, doors open quickly. This environment forced me to become sharper, more disciplined, and more self-aware. What shocked me most was how success here feels less emotional and more systematic. In the United States, ambition is often tied to identity and ego. In Singapore, ambition is practical. People work hard not to prove something, but to secure stability and progress. This changed how I see career success and personal worth. The shock of multicultural harmony that actually works. America talks a lot about diversity. Singapore lives it daily. Chinese, Malay, Indian, and many other cultures coexist not just symbolically, but structurally. Languages, religions, and traditions are visible everywhere, yet conflict is rare. This shocked me because multiculturalism here is managed intentionally, not left to chance. Housing policies encourage integration. Schools teach shared values. Public holidays represent multiple cultures. As an American, I was used to diversity being celebrated but also contested. In Singapore, harmony is not optional. It is a national priority. This does not mean everyone agrees on everything, but it means respect is non-negotiable. Living in this environment made me realize how fragile social cohesion can be without structure. Singapore's approach may feel strict, but it prevents division before it grows. This challenged my belief that harmony must always be organic. Sometimes, it must be protected deliberately. The shock of redefining happiness and success. The final and deepest shock was internal. Singapore forced me to redefine happiness. In the United States, happiness is often tied to expression, individuality, and personal dreams. In Singapore, happiness is tied to stability, safety, family, and long-term security. At first, this felt limiting. Over time, it felt grounding. People here may not talk about chasing dreams loudly, but they build solid lives quietly. They plan decades ahead. They prioritize health, savings, and education. This long-term mindset changed how I think about my future. I became less impulsive and more intentional. I stopped chasing constant excitement and started valuing peace. This shift did not happen overnight. It came through observation, reflection, and adaptation. Singapore did not just shock me. It reshaped me. So, was Singapore perfect? No country is. But did it challenge everything I thought I knew about freedom, safety, success, and happiness? Absolutely. These shocks were not just cultural differences. They were mirrors, reflecting the strengths and weaknesses of where I came from and where I chose to live. If this story made you question your own assumptions about life abroad, identity, or success, then this journey was worth sharing. This is infoSphere, where real stories meet global perspective. If you want more honest experiences, deep comparisons, and stories that go beyond stereotypes, stay connected. The world looks very different when you dare to see it through someone else's eyes.